Hello, and welcome to our June card camp. We hope that you've got your kits by now, and these are the items that you should have received in your kit. And let's get started. This month, we're going to work on two more masculine cards. So the first card, I had already folded the white card base in half, and we are just using a text greeting, happy birthday. Because of copyright issues, we can't include stamped images in your kit. So I just put some adhesive on the back of the happy birthday and adhered it to the dotted piece that it matches. Now, for this card, we're going to make a kind of like a block pattern. And adhere those pieces to the card. Sometimes because these pieces were embossed and then cut with a trimmer, you might have some ragged edges. So we're just going to trim those with a pair of scissors. Just so that your edges are nice as smooth as you would like them. So since this is our layout, all that I did was add some adhesive to the back of the pieces and try to give them, they all should have about a 1/4 inch mat, if everything was cut correctly. So I just add some adhesive, and you could use an adhesive tape runner, or you could use wet adhesive, whatever you have at home. Then I want to take, just to decorate a little bit, I have this piece of twine in your kit, baker's twine. And what I'm going to do is run it through the back. And what I want to try to do, instead of just making a knot, I want to try to make a knot on either side where it will show once the card is finished. So right where my thumb is about where I want to have a knot. You can make more than one if you want it to show a little more, but I'm just going to do one. Then I want to kind of put a knot right about there. So again, just using my thumb as a guide for about where I wanted to add a knot. Well, let's see how that worked out. Very nicely. So we have a knot on either edge. Once you like that placement, I'm just going to make a knot in the center to keep that in place. If you didn't want to make a knot, you could just use a piece of Scotch tape to tape it down. One end is a little bit shorter. I'm going to trim the little bit of excess with my scissors. And last, just add adhesive to our happy birthday saying and place that on top to cover up the ends of your baker's twine. So that's the card you can complete in your kit. But what I wanted to show you is the library has a large collection of rubber stamps that you can check out. If you do a search for 3D objects, you'll see, I mean, more than just stamps, but you'll see all the 3D objects, and all the stamps are listed under that heading. So there's a stamp set called Country Livin' in the library system, and I really liked this pickup truck image. So I stamped the pickup truck on a piece of white cardstock, and then what I'm going to show you is how I'm going to use some ink pads So I have this is Stampin' Up! Soft Suede, and this is a Stampin' Up! Ink pad, a navy blue called Night of Navy. And I'm going to use blender brushes. Now these blender brushes I actually are beauty brushes. But I also am going to use in another card the Stampin' Up! Blender brush, which is brand new. And these give you a nice blend, more so than we used to use sponges. And using these blender brushes give you a really nice blend. The way that I use them is I stamp my blender brush on the ink pad, and then I always start off on a piece of scratch and just go in circular motions onto your stamped piece. I'm sorry if the camera is shaking a little while I'm doing the blending. So I'm just going to blend a little bit of brown. And I'm going to flip my piece over and I'm going to use the Night of Navy. You know, I'm not sure if the ink pads are in where you can see, but I'm just tapping on the ink pad and then going onto my stamped piece. You can just make things as light or as dark as you would like. When I'm blending, I usually go back to the first color that I did, just to, if I'm using two colors, just to kind of make sure that I like how it's blended together. So here, the same idea for the card that's in your kit, but using one of the library stamped images, just stamped in black, I used a black ink pad and a couple blending brushes, and you could just make your card stamped using one of the stamps that the library has. Now I've got another card I wanted to show you. So these are the pieces for the second card in your kit. Again, we've got a piece of the white card base we're just going to fold in half, and got a piece of embossed paper. We're just going to put some adhesive on the back to layer that. So the masculine pattern paper that I included for this kit is just kind of a compass. Going to add some adhesive to that layer. That's going to go right there in the center of your card. We're using baker's twine on this card as well. So you should have a piece that's long enough to wrap around twice. And then I just tied it in a knot. I'm not the best at bow making, so I like to do knots. But hopefully there's enough excess. If you would like to make a bow, you can do that. So kind of just fiddle with how you like your baker's twine. You want to kind of make it like that. So I'm going to use my adhesive and put that layer down now. Now the other pieces in your kit you can decorate however you'd like. I had planned on putting the thank you right there. Then I thought it would be nice to put the rope maybe a little bit behind. So I think I'm going to use some wet glue for this part. And since this is going to be behind the thank you, just going to do a little bit of wet glue where it won't show. hold it for a second. And I think I'll put the wheel there. So I'm ready to adhere my thank you to the front. I'm going to kind of tuck that under the baker's twine. I'm going to use some wet glue again. Just place it however you would like on your card. So here's your second card. Again, I wanted to showcase how there are many, many stamp sets at the library that you can use, that you can borrow to put stamped images on your cards. So this one I really love is called Wetlands. Now in your kit, I included a piece of, it's kind of shiny on one side, a little glossy on one side. This is photo paper, and I included it in your kit in case you would like to go and borrow a stamp set from the library to use instead of the pattern paper. So with this glossy paper, I want to use the Wetlands, and I'm going to use these little birds. Now, because that paper is a little glossy, I was using a Memento Tuxedo Black ink pad. And that's just so that you wouldn't get any smearing. I'm just going to stamp the birds, making sure just go straight up and down. Then I'm going to use a greeting, thinking of you. I'm going to stamp that in the corner. I think I'll clean the stamps while I'm giving that ink a chance to dry on the glossy paper. And I like to clean my stamps with just an alcohol-free baby wipe. Just gonna clean the black off using the baby wipe. So I want to do the same blending with this. So I want to just show you that using the glossy paper, you get a more vibrant color. And make sure everything's dry. Because of the glossy paper, I'm just going to kind of go over my piece with just a tissue. And that's because I want to try to avoid getting any of my fingerprints when I'm blending. So again, I'm going to use my blending brushes. I'm going to start with the soft suede. You can see with the, well, you can still see my fingerprints, but with the glossy paper, the colors are more vibrant. So it takes a little bit longer. Takes a little bit more blending to get everything smoothed out. Can you see how those fingerprints and the circular motions are starting to blend out already? You just have to work at it a little bit. Next, I'm going to use a light blue at the top. This is Pool Party, and here I'm using a Stampin' Up blending brush. Really enjoy using these blending brushes because You can make things as light or as dark as you want. It really changes the more you work with the ink. I'm going to kind of now try to use that Night of Navy that we used for the Country Living card. To blend between the light blue Pool Party and the soft suede. There you go, you can see my fingerprints again. Let's see if we can work with the blending brush to get the circles out, make it more smooth. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back with the soft suede at the bottom. And then finally I'm going to go back with the light blue Pool Party at the top. This blending is just a lot of practice. It's fun. If you don't like how it looks, you can just stamp another piece and try again. So we still have some of those circles showing, which I can work on a little bit longer, but I didn't want to take too much time with our video because to finish the card, I was just going to finish it exactly as we had done with the pattern paper. I'm going to put my blue embossed piece down, mat this. In your kit, the photo paper we marked as photo paper so that you would know it's not just a cardstock mat in case you want to try this at home. And I'm going to layer that onto the cardstock mat and then just tie my twine, my baker's twine, around twice. And make a knot. Last, just going to add some adhesive to the back of our stamped piece. And we can move that down a little bit so you can see the birds. So there you have, using the stamp set from the library, Wetlands, where you can do a similar card from what's in your kit. Hope you enjoyed today's card camp, and we look forward to seeing you next month.